Story tonight, more movement at Hacienda Healthcare. That's the facility where an incapacitated patient was raped, resulting in the surprise birth of a child. Good evening, I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Trea Mai. Caribe is on assignment tonight. Earlier today, the state issued an ultimatum to Hacienda after it revealed it would close the facility.
Team 12's Bram Resnick has learned that there's a deal with Hacienda. He joins us with this I-Team report. Bram?
Yeah, remember 6 weeks ago tomorrow, a baby boy was born to that incapacitated patient at Hacienda Healthcare. Staff had no idea she was pregnant. It is also almost 6 weeks and counting without any formal agreement on how to prevent another vulnerable patient from being raped. Tonight, though, there might be a breakthrough.
The message for Hacienda is that we need to care for these patients.
It's Governor Doug Ducey and state regulators on one side in a showdown with Hacienda Healthcare on the other. Caught in the middle, 36 vulnerable patients who might be forced out of their longtime home.
We're going to work through our agencies to be as aggressive as possible.
Phoenix-based Hacienda Healthcare revealed Thursday it would shut down its unit for intellectually disabled patients. An incapacitated patient there was raped and gave birth to a baby boy last December 29th. But Hacienda and state regulators haven't been able to fix whatever went wrong. It's been one blown deadline after another in just the last 7 days. We're now learning that Hacienda's board voted last Friday to shut down the unit where the patient was raped. The state was informed, but not the public. Then on Tuesday, Governor Ducey stepped up his rhetoric by calling for the state attorney general to prosecute Hacienda's leaders. That same day, Hacienda failed to meet a state deadline to bring in an outside manager. State regulators gave Hacienda a new Friday deadline for an action plan. On Thursday, Hacienda revealed its shutdown vote, telling employees it could take months to move the patients. On Friday morning, Arizona regulators gave Hacienda yet another deadline, this one with an ultimatum. Either follow through on the state's orders or face heavier regulation by the state. Late Friday, Hacienda accepted that tougher regulation.
Basically, the ability to be in the driver's seat on any regulatory and enforcement actions.
Arizona's top health official, Dr. Kara Christ, would oversee Hacienda's unit for intellectually disabled patients. Chris told me on Friday's taping of Sunday Square Off that moving the patients is not an option.
Transferring them to another facility could result in psychological, physical harm, and even death.
Now, this agreement would undo a 22-year-old state law that freed this Hacienda unit from any state licensing. One caveat, Hacienda still has to reach a formal deal with the state on what comes next. Mark, Tramp?
Okay, but Bram, how is this agreement different from the others that you mentioned in your story?
Good question. Here's the big difference. The Department of Health Services, led by Kara Christ, already oversees several other Hacienda Healthcare facilities. If Hacienda doesn't play ball, DHS could make life difficult at those other facilities. Also keep in mind, Hacienda's problems are far from over. There are several ongoing investigations. Also a lawsuit accusing it of defrauding the state. Still lots going on here.
Yeah, and in the meantime, you got those patients.
Those patients, and they want to keep them there.
The innocence in all of this. Yeah. All right, Bram, thanks.